Alright, I know this title might be a bit absurd, but let me explain myself. Today, it's not unusual to see live service games fail. Games such as Skull and Bones, Suicide Squad, and Concord are examples of this in 2024 alone. You have other live service games in the past that I thought could really work, such as Overwatch and Halo Infinite, and the most disappointing game, at least in my opinion, Red Dead Redemption 2 Online. Seriously, Rockstar, how did you screw that up? Grand Theft Auto Online was the perfect template for you to use to make Red Dead Redemption Online a success, but you blew it.
You blew it!
But anyways, that's another discussion for another time. These games have been forgotten and casted aside for other newer games like Helldivers 2. Now I have the question to ask. Why did most of these games fail? In my opinion, they failed for the same reason Leonardo DiCaprio picks a new girlfriend every few years. They got too old and too boring. What I mean by this is that the studios and publishers of these games kept them the same for far too long and did not do any kind of revamp that truly changed how you play the game. A good way to check if a live service game will eventually fail is if a review of this game that came out initially is still valid after more than 6 months. If this is true, then I'm sorry, but I think you would need to take your game back and put it out of its misery, old Yeller style. Take the game Suicide Squad, for example, and look at the reviews it got from reviewers like IGN. That game was hated at launch for its stale story, repeated boss fights, and lackluster combat. And looking at it now, can you say it's any different? The 2 seasons we've had so far have failed to deliver on the story, so it's still boring. The bosses are again repeated from the base game, and the combat is still the same, but with only new characters added to it. Halo Infinite was a game that I loved at launch, and so did many other players, but it got killed too. And while I will say it did eventually change in a meaningful way with the addition of Forge, it came far too late, as there have been barely any real substantial updates in the game sandbox to save players, like new weapons or vehicle abilities or new modes. The game was unchanged for 2 whole seasons, which lasted about a year, and with no new content, the player base dried up. Now I want to go into live service games that have succeeded, and the first ones I want to talk about are Fallout 76 and Sea of Thieves. Both of these games had a rough start, but they have both gotten so much better in terms of their content that they are almost different games. Now with 76 having NPCs and Sea of Thieves getting more interesting missions and exploration added, these 2 releases show the potential that a live service game can have, even if they are initially bad. And it is kind of why I'm a bit annoyed that games like Concord got shut down almost 2 weeks after it comes out, as I feel like games like that could have had a potential to be really good if given the time to really build themselves up. Now there's one game out there that I think we all know does the live service the best, and that is Fortnite. The game constantly revamps itself with new weapons and modes every few months. I mean, as of the making of this video, the game is currently in its Doctor Doom season, in which you have different Marvel heroes such as War Machine and Wolverine, and you get to use their powers, and that sounds awesome. And in the last season, they focused on vehicular combat with a Mad Max style season. The season before that, they had like freaking Greek gods, and I mean, that sounds cool and awesome. And if a content creator like me or someone else were to make a review of this game right now, it would get outdated within a couple months as the game just constantly revamps itself. And how many games can you really give the same credit to? Fortnite constantly evolves itself, which takes a lot of effort and manpower. And if companies want to get into this market, they have to be willing to invest just as much effort into their games in order to not flop. But will they? Alright folks, this is the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and if you have your own thoughts on live service games and any ideas you have for them, please put that down in the comments below, and like and subscribe if you haven't already, as that would be very appreciated, and it helps get this video out there and reach a new, bigger audience. But yeah, that should be all now, guys. Talk to you later then. Bye.